She walked out onto the stage, and the silence wasn't just quiet, it was aggressive. You could hear the friction of a judge shifting in his leather chair, leaning back, signaling, "This is a waste of time," before she even reached the microphone. You know the feeling. Not the silence of anticipation, where people are holding their breath, waiting to be amazed. This was the other kind, the heavy kind, the kind of silence that crawls across your skin and tells you to leave before you even open your mouth. She was 47. Her hair was a little frizzy, the kind of messy that comes from humidity, not style. Her dress was beige, just beige. It didn't fit the way dresses are supposed to fit on a stage like that. It bunched at the waist. It looked like something she'd worn to a parent-teacher conference, not a televised audition. And the judges, I want you to really picture them. They looked at each other, a quick side-eye. The judge on the right didn't just sigh, he checked his watch, visibly. A gesture that screamed to millions of viewers, I have better places to be than watching a 47-year-old in a beige dress. A sharp exhale of boredom. He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms, physically closing himself off. In his head, he was already at lunch. He was already checking his phone. If you've ever felt like you don't belong somewhere, hit that subscribe button. Because what happens next, it's for everyone who's ever been underestimated. She stood there under those lights, hands folded in front of her, and you could see it, the way her fingers were shaking. Not a lot, but enough. The audience was restless. Someone coughed. Someone else whispered something. And she just stood there, waiting for permission to prove she existed. The head judge leaned forward. So, what are you going to sing for us today? Her voice was small when she answered, almost apologetic, like she was sorry for taking up space. She named the song, something classic, something big, and you could see it on their faces, all of them. That mix of pity and secondhand embarrassment, like they were already cringing at what was about to happen. All right then, the judge said, smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. The music started, a simple backing track. For the first 3 seconds, nothing changed. The audience was still rolling their eyes. The judges were still writing on their notepads, not looking at her. Then she opened her mouth. The first note didn't just come out, it erupted. It wasn't about volume. Any amateur can scream. This was about texture. It was grit and gravel and silk all at the same time. It hit the back of the room instantly. The air in the auditorium shifted, physically shifted. That shaky woman with the nervous hands, she was gone, evaporated. Standing there now was someone else, someone who had been waiting 47 years, 3 months, and 12 days for this exact 60-second window. The judge who sighed, his head snapped up, his pen dropped, literally dropped on the desk, his mouth opened slightly, like he'd been slapped by an invisible hand. He wasn't looking at a middle-aged woman in a beige dress anymore. He was looking at a force of nature. She kept singing. And it's strange, isn't it? How a voice can rewrite everything you thought you knew about a person in 30 seconds. Every assumption, every judgment, every cruel little thought, all of it just crumbling in real time. The audience started to shift. Someone stood up, then another, and another. By the time she hit the chorus, half the room was on their feet. She wasn't just singing anymore. She was exercising something. Every year of being ignored, every time someone looked past her, every moment she was told, without words, that she wasn't enough. All of it was pouring out of her, and the judges, they couldn't look away. One of them had tears streaming down her face. Not pretty crying, the kind where you forget cameras exist.
If you're feeling this, drop a like, because we're just getting started. Here's what nobody tells you about moments like this. They don't happen because someone suddenly discovered talent. She'd always had this voice. Always. She'd been singing in her small town for decades. Church halls, community centers, places where nobody important was listening. She told reporters later that she had auditioned for big labels 4 times before this. 4 times. And every single time, they stopped her before she even hit the chorus. Why? Not the right look? You're too old? We're looking for a pop star, not a mom. They didn't hear her voice because they couldn't get past her face. But she kept coming back. Why punish yourself like that? Because the alternative was silence, and she couldn't accept silence. The talent was always there. What changed was she finally got tired of waiting for permission. And on that day, something was different. Not in her, in the moment. Someone said yes at the door. Someone let her through. And once she was on that stage, once the music started, there was no stopping it. The final note hung in the air. Silence. Then the place exploded. Not applause. Something bigger than that. It was relief. Like everyone in that room needed to believe that people still get surprised, that the world can still be wrong about someone, that underdogs still win sometimes. The judges were standing, all of them. The one who'd smirked first, he was shaking his head, not in disappointment, in disbelief, at himself maybe. I'm sorry, he said, when the noise died down, and you could tell he meant it. I judged you before you even began. That was extraordinary. She just smiled. Small, private, like she'd known all along. But here's the part that breaks you. When they asked her backstage why she kept auditioning, why she didn't give up after being turned away so many times, she said something simple. Because I knew if I could just sing, they'd hear me. They'd have to. Think about that. She didn't doubt her gift. She doubted the world's willingness to listen. And she was right to doubt it. The video went viral, obviously. Millions of views in the first day. People shared it with captions like, "This is everything," and "I'm sobbing," and "Faith in humanity restored." And for a week or two, everyone was talking about her. The woman who proved the judges wrong. The underdog who showed up and shocked the world. But then the conversation shifted. People started asking, why did it take this long? Why did she have to prove herself in such a dramatic way just to be heard? Why was she invisible for 47 years and then suddenly visible only because she made jaded TV personalities cry? Why does talent in the wrong body have to work so much harder just to be seen? And nobody had good answers. Some people said it's just how the world works, that it's about marketability, about what audiences want to see. That's business, they said. But she'd always been marketable. Her voice was the same at 25, at 35. What changed wasn't her. It was who was watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. We're talking about things that matter. She went on to release an album. Did pretty well. Not superstar level, but solid. She performed at some big venues, got interviewed on talk shows. Everyone wanted the story, the fairy tale, the Cinderella narrative, and she told it, graciously, again and again. But in one interview, later, after the buzz had died down a bit, someone asked her if she had any regrets. And she paused. Really paused. You could see her thinking about whether to tell the truth. "I wish I hadn't waited for permission," she finally said. "I wish I'd believed I was enough. Before someone else told me I was." The interviewer tried to move on, wanted to keep things light, but she didn't let it go. "There are so many people like me," she said.
People who have something to give, something real, and they're waiting for someone to let them through the door. And maybe nobody ever does. And that voice, that gift, whatever it is, it just dies quiet. And the world never knows what it missed. She wasn't bitter when she said it. That's what got me. She was just sad. For everyone still waiting. The thing is, she was right. How many voices are out there right now, sitting in small towns, working regular jobs, singing in their cars on the way to work, and nobody will ever hear them? Not because they're not good enough, but because they don't fit, because they're too old or too young, or too heavy or too different or too something. And we lose that. All of us. We lose it. She became famous for being underestimated. But what if she'd been estimated correctly from the start? What if someone had heard her at 25 or 35? What if the system didn't require you to shock people just to be taken seriously? What if being good was enough? It should be enough. 3 years after that audition, she was performing at a small theater. Not the big arena tours, not the stadium shows, just a nice, intimate venue. And someone asked her if she missed the spotlight, the viral fame, the moment everyone was watching. She said no, said this was better. Singing for people who came to hear her, not to witness a spectacle. People who saw her, not the story. I'm just a singer, she said. I was always just a singer. The rest of it, that was for everyone else. And maybe that's the real ending. Not the big moment on stage, not the standing ovation, but the quiet realization that she didn't need their validation. She needed her own. She walks out on stage now and the room goes quiet. But it's different now. It's expectation, respect. They know what's coming. And she sings. Not to prove anything, just because that's who she is. That's who she always was. So here's my question for you. What would you do if you stopped waiting for permission? If you stopped needing someone else to tell you that you're good enough, talented enough, worthy enough? What would you do if you just did it? If you showed up and took up space and didn't apologize for existing? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to hear it. And if this hit you somewhere deep, make sure you're subscribed because we're just getting started. Next video, we're going to the other side of the spectrum. A prodigy who had the world at his feet at age 12 and then vanished on purpose. You're going to want to see that. I'll see you there.